السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to lecture by Professor Abdullah on milestones. Professor Abdullah is an expert on heritage sites and landmarks and historical landmarks. He's been at it for the last 35 years. He has surveyed many historical routes and roads in the Arabian Peninsula, from the north to the south, from the east to west. He has a Bachelor of Architecture from Imam Abdullah University in Imam, and he has 2 master degrees from USA and a PhD. He was an academician in Imam Abdullah University and promoted through the years to become a full professor and then vice rector, president of the university. And since he retired, he very busy with his own research center and establishment called TARA. I don't have much to say except my utmost respect for him. And I welcome him today to talk about this very exciting topic, which is a milestone between Makkah and Medina. Okay. القومي بالعربي عندنا الشيخ عثمان طاقة كاتب القرآن الكريم. الدكتور عبدالله هو زميل الشيخ. الشيخ احنا فرحين بحضورك معنا اليوم، وانت انسان مبارك. حب بجد رسالة الدكتور عبدالله، لكن احب اقول لك اليوم محاضرة عن الاميال الحجرية ومسار الهجرة بين مكة والمدينة. هجرة الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. شكرا جزيلا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في البداية أقدم كل الشكر والتقدير للميلاد وخصوصا الدكتور صالح والأستاذ القاضي والأمير العام للعلاقة الإسلامية والمؤسسة العديدة من الدعوة الكريمة. يحتضنون الأهمية هذا المحتل، وكذلك الأستاذ عبدالله راشد مدير إثرا، وهو أحد المدراء المعرفة في المملكة السعودية، أحد المدراء للتقط كلية سعودي قبل كل شيء. وهذا المركز الكلية تحتيه كلية الآن عالمي، فكل الشكر والتقدير بسبب الاعتداء في دعوة الدكتور بما يحافظ على غير المناسبة له في دعوة الشيء على أريد أن أعرف إثر الحدود قبلها أو لا زال عشان في إنجاز وإعلان هذه الأعمال. أول ضيوف الحقيقة الأكثر بين خارج المملكة والمناطق الجغرافية. أنا سألتكم كيف سيكون اللغة الإنجليزية لدولتكم، وممكن تترجم بعض الأشياء. أرجو كسر صدوركم الإنجليزية. I already asked the permission of everybody to talk in English. I welcome you on behalf of our colleague الصيفي their exhibitions and visitors here, as well as ILقاء for this event. We have talked about the milestones, and I call it milestones of area. And also I'd like to welcome our colleagues from the Commission of Culture who are joining us today, and they're going to have some actually projects related to one of the stories of the area. Actually, my story would be milestones go into three parts in the past, which goes back to 1979. It's really started. When I first left from here to the States, to a small town called Valparaiso, very small town. It's in Indiana, state of Indiana. And I was surprised by the usage of the mile system. Even the cars. So we were used to kilometers here, the speed of the kilometers. So we go, for example, and you're allowed to speed for 100 kilometers per hour, if you go 100 miles an hour, you'll be in trouble. There's a big difference, especially if you miscalculate the calculation. Also, when you rent the car there, they will give you mileage, or they will charge you for the mileage. So that the word mile stuck until I came back and I joined the College of Architecture at the university, that time called Faisal University. Now it's been changed to Manor University, and now it's Manor University. They distributed the standards for the architecture at that time called Time Saver, which is equivalent to Newfort. Those standards, they were in, because they were American, so they were in inches, feet, and even for the planning, they were talking about the radius, and they were talking in miles. So you had to understand the system and to try to train your brain to shift from the metric system to the imperial system, which is, you're talking about inch, you're talking about foot, you're talking about a mile and so forth. In 1981, this is, I was attending a jury, that's me. And this is Professor James Steele, whom I just saw actually 2 days ago at Milan. We had an event with the award. He's one of my favorite professors. We talked about the idea also of my songs. Even in French, when they talk about the miles, and they talk about the track, which is the hard length. But they differ. The school of thoughts, some say it's 4,000, some say it's 2,000. This actually stimulated me and my curiosity to go beyond. In 2003, exactly I was in Medina, and I thought, in order to make sure what is the exact distance of a mile, especially I'm talking about the area, we're talking about the civilizations. So the idea of finding the exact mile, you have to find physical milestones on the route, and you have to have at least 4 of them in order to have 3 measured distances in order to measure the exact distance of a mile. And so in order to verify for testing, in any testing, you have to do it once. Even if you have like one test, sometimes the results are unhappy, you have to do a second one and third one to verify the distance. And I continue to search for those milestones. So before that, I had to go and dig into the history of milestones. So the ancient Egypt, they used the milestones also. The Roman, and by the way, the Roman milestone, the distance is 1400 something here. And then we have the Byzantine, and this one is now still standing in the area of Sultan Ahmed, close to Hagia Sophia. And this is in Jordan, and every civilization, they still use the milestone system. So the milestone is here, those are the shades that I was able to find and figure out more about those milestones. Also, other towns,
Boston. I remember Dr. Ma'raj sent me a photo from Boston 2 years ago regarding finding a milestone there. We have the imperial system, which is still the imperial system is still used in US, Liberia, and Burma. Those three countries, they're still using. I know some countries like in the roads like UK, they're still using both. But purely the imperial system are still used in those three countries. When did we shift from the imperial system to the metric system? It was in 1797. So only like 200 something years, which is not that old. While the imperial system, we're talking about thousands of years. So they use the metric system because honestly, also it's easier. All what you need, just multiply by 10, divide by 10, then you get the results. While the imperial system, it's very difficult. You need to train yourself in order to reach the results. The language, the history of the mile itself was, and the MIL, it's not a mistake, it's meal. We call it meal. Interestingly, in English it's mile, and in Arabic it's meal. So when you look into the root of the meal, and they talk about milul masafati, the distance of, or the mile of the distance, when things start to divert, so they disappear, you don't see them. If you look and clearly, you would see objects clearly, and after 1 mile, they start to disappear. And that's why on the roads, we call them in Arabic shakhs, and shakhs from shakhs, like the figure of a human being. So usually when you travel and you see something similar to a human being, first of all, you feel comfortable because you're traveling on a road by yourself, and it has the same shape of the milestone. Milestone 0, in every single town, there is a space or a location where starts the town. So let's say Rome. Where does it start when you say Rome? At the Vatican, there is a milestone, and that's why they say all the roads lead to Rome. So the same here in Mecca, all the roads lead to Mecca. All the trade routes here in Mecca, they lead to Mecca. Okay, how large is Mecca? Mecca, are you talking about the mosque itself, or which has been expanded in a very massive way, or you're talking about the town? So the mile 0 in Mecca, it's the Kaaba itself, because it doesn't change. The same thing with al-Medina al-Munawwara. The mosque of the Prophet ﷺ expanded, so big, as well as the city. So the mile 0 is the pulpit, the Minbar al-Nabawi. Again, those are pictures that we took. Interestingly, all the ancient towns, they were very small. When you talk about al-Medina al-Munawwara, only 0.5 mile by 0.3 mile. That's how it used to be, the size, the dimension. Rome, you're talking about 1.75 to 1.5. Palmyra, Athens, and so on. From my survey, I couldn't see any town that would exceed 3 miles. There is no town would exceed 3 miles. The reason for that, we're gonna see why. The dispute on the mile, as we said, we have the Roman, which is 1400 something. We have the Byzantine, which is 1500 something. We have the English, which is 1,609 meter. And what we've discovered, what I discovered also, 1,603. Again, like idioms, always we say that the 1,000 mile starts with one step. So this shows the multiplication of the steps that would lead you to a mile. And that's why when we say 1,000 paces is a mile. Even in our text, we say ألف خطوة ميل. So 1,000 paces is a mile. My methodology, what I did here, I have the data collection, the data analysis, and the field study, data documentation and synthesis, and then the publication and touring. So this project, this field work, didn't come just with joy or just resting in the office. It took me so long with hard work. So data collection, I went to every single source that talked about milestones. I've used every single time, every single minute, every single piece of paper, even the bags that are put in the airplanes when you need to use them. Sometimes you don't find anything, so you write on them. I have, honestly, tons of them that I've used. You exhaust. I remember a few weeks ago, I went to buy a coffee just in order to get the receipt so I can write on the back of the receipt. I have it with me. Sometimes you have something to write and you don't, and by the way, I hate to write on iPhones or the computer. First, I have first-hand writing with my hand, then I transform them into, in the airports where you sit. So also the sources. There is a society in UK. It's based in Cardiff. I remember in 2003, I called them that I wanted to come and give a presentation about milestones. They said, no, we don't accept papers. Who are you? And so on. Now they're chasing us here in the country, including Professor Tim Insel. He's the one who approached us. He's with us. You're welcome. He's from University of Exeter. Again, when you have solid research, and because of the treasure we have in this country, people would appreciate what you have. So whether the books being published in UK or one of my favorite books, طرق المناسك والحج by Imam al-Harbi. Also, I traveled with Sheikh Atiq al-Biladi, rahimahullah ta'ala. I tried to learn about I became, archaeologist by practice and being around the archaeologists. Of course, our favorite Imam Samhudi. So the analyzing and examining the milestones and the system of analysis, I've used old maps in order to trace the routes. So as well as other colleagues, I traveled to Egypt, I traveled to Spain, to Turkey in order to buy maps. I've used other softwares and so on in order to analyze the idea. Here, the reason I'm showing this image, they mention that 6 hairs would be equivalent to 1 sha'ira, and 6 of the sha'ira would be equivalent to a finger. And then we have the vest, then we have the hand span. If you notice, the division of the mile related to the parts of the body, the finger, the fist, and also the khatawat, the foot steps, and so on. And then we have the ba'. We call this in Arabic ba'. 1,000 of this ba', the arm strength. If you multiply this by 1,000, this is a mile. 1 mile exactly. If you go one pace, which is, this is one pace, 1,000 times, this is a mile. So sometimes you didn't need any tools to know that whether you traveled. And then it's equivalent to time. You need only 20 minutes on average to travel a mile. Here, we say the division, then we have the multiplication. So 3 miles is called farsakh, the league. The farsakh in Arabic, so we say the mile where things would deviate. Then we have the farsakh, in Arabic, it's a sukoon, so the silence. So after traveling 3 miles, you feel you want to rest. I mean, if you examine this, that's how it happened. After traveling 4 farsakhs, this is what we call a barid. A barid, we use it in Arabic, which is the post office, so which is 12 miles. After traveling a barid, which is usually would take 4 hours, you feel you want to take more than what you took with the 3 miles. So I call it today, and in the past they call it al-muta'ashsha. Today you can call it lunchtime. To call it the lunchtime. So after working for 4 hours, you need to rest. And then after 4 hours, you need to rest for the rest of the day. This is called marhala. Marhala from the rihla, from the rahil, your luggage. So you need to unload your luggage and just stay for one night. So again, the multiplication is based on your capacity, the human being capacity. So we have a mile, we have the farsakh, and then we have the barid, and then 2 barids would be marhala. So this is maximum. So what is the multiplication of a marhala? Then we have 2 marhalas, 3 marhalas, 5 marhalas. So if you say from Mecca to Medina, 10 marhalas, that means you need 10 days to travel. And that's how they use to calculate and measure those distances. So are they related, the milestones? This is the first milestone that I discovered on the route, standing. That was a long time ago. The tools that I used. This is Ahmed. By the way, this boy, now he's a dentist. This shows how old the research is. I've used GPSs. I was chasing and buying every single device at that time. Today, in your iPhone, you have everything. At that time, it was very difficult to find and capture things. We've used the drones also. Also, we tested, could we find milestones while using the drones? No. This, even while driving, you can't. You have to walk and search and survey those. But this is for capturing. We camp. Usually we stay there for nights, and we camp on the road. And this is one of the places where one of the milestones, I called it mile 7, but in the book with a different naming. This is our camp. I wanted to put a piece over one of the milestones. See, this milestone, I went by this milestone for 14 years. I wasn't brave enough, honestly, to put the pieces over each other. Then I decided to put this piece over this one. And I thought, honestly, it would take me like 10 minutes to 15 minutes, but it took us more than 3 hours. We've used every single technique to excavate. I don't want the people from the Commission of Heritage to, sue me on this, as this is before. This is an old. So, afallahu amma salaf. Now we have a project with them to dig. By the way, I don't usually dig. I don't dig, but I couldn't for this milestone because I wanted to put. See this piece. how we put it in a carpet. We couldn't, I mean, several ones of us couldn't honestly handle the piece. Look at this. And they're beautiful. So now, alhamdulillah, Ministry of Culture with the Commission of Heritage, now they're, I mean, having huge projects and investment in order to take care of those milestones, put them up again, and do more search for that. Also, when you photograph places, especially with the valleys, trees, you get confused. You don't know which one is this. So I search for a camera where I have a GPS. In the past, before those GPSs, I would put the number of the image, and then I would say I took this image at that location, at that time, at that day, and so on. But it was really difficult. So I was able to find a camera with the GPSs in order to capture. I know those things sound basics today, so basics. All kind of devices that also I've used. I'm talking about 30 years ago. How do I make sure this milestone with, or milestones, the distances and the 1,000 paces would be applied on human beings? So I took 7 people, 7 of my friends, with a flat plane and with scale, with a wheel scale, with also a meter. And then we started to walk and counting the paces. I swear, by the end of counting 1,000, the 1,000 pace, 1,000, look at this number. It's exactly 1,609 meters. And then we've tested this different days, different timing, because that person, was he sick, was he healthy, was he, and it became so precise. So now it's been proven. In terms of time, it takes only 20 minutes to go for 1 mile. Again, applying the theory, what we discovered, the field work, how did I discover it? So once I discovered the first one and the second one, then I started to go and put a methodology in order to find more of them. Even the route, I put a hypothetical route, but then the more you find milestone or milestones, you start to correct your route. And then we found more of them, up to 55, which being in the book. Look at them. This is from the GPS. This is from the GPS, exactly. See, milestone number 1 with the dimensions. And by the way, on average, they're 175. This is on average. The width of the human being, the depth of the human being. The second mile, stone. And the third one, a fourth one, I call it 4.5. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. But when I found the fourth one, or the fourth and the fifth, when I went back and started to analyze and download the data, I discovered it was the distance of 2 miles. So I went back, and because I was using my GPS numbering them, so I couldn't put a number except 4.5. So it doesn't mean 4.5 miles. No, it's in between a missing one that I discovered later on. Calculating the distances, I've used t-test to make sure the difference, because it was 1,612 plus minus. So there is an error, maybe because I measured it when I captured the first time at the top of the milestone or the bottom, or it's been shifted just for a few meters. This could happen. I used the buffering system around the milestones in order to make sure, are the circles touching each other or they are apart, to make sure how far you are from those the accurate distances. I also put the historical maps on the route. Are we still using the same routes that I found the milestones on them or not? How far is it away from that? The point 0 means one milestone and then other milestones. And by the way, I took the distance, I applied it on the traditional texts, especially the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and it was exactly this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This shows you the shape, the color, and the form of those milestones, and so on. And interestingly, every single milestone, it would be chosen from the same area. It's like the doctors when they make sure if they want to implant an organ in somebody, that organ should be almost identical to the same body. So they would put and make sure those milestones are from the same surrounding area. And this is a call for the architects, for the planners. Make sure the materials that you use in your buildings, should be from the same area rather than importing from different areas. I tried to compare between what I found and what is in UK. This is what I found. This is in UK. This is what I found. This is in UK. Look, this one and this one. They are similar even in shape. This doesn't mean we took it from the English. The English took it from us. That's my actually argument, and I fought with Ian Thompson. The reason we have evidences that those milestones being in the ones that have been discovered, at least some of them more than 1,200 years. And we have evidences, the idea of the milestone even pre-Islamic, and we have evidences. And that's why now we are with the Commission of Culture with University of Exeter. Now we are gonna go and take samples to examine when those milestones were implanted and from where they were brought. In order to do that, you need, further research, and we're gonna spend 10 days on the route. Before going to the field, I put what we call expected and actual. So I try to expect and look for the next one, and look how far the expected and the found one. I swear not more than less than a meter. And usually we use chi-square in statistics, what we call the expected and the actual. Local tribes, honestly, they helped us a lot. The people on the route, the family of Sa'adi, the family of Al-Biladi, the family, it would be difficult to mention their names. They are very, very helpful. Whenever you go to them, they go out of their way. We have our colleague, Abu Sa'ad Fawaz. We traveled together on many places. Thank you. So every single, honestly, Saudi here is very, very helpful when you go on the road. They don't leave you without, helping you and making sure that you get what you want. We have inscriptions. See, in writing, we write milaini. We don't say اثنين ميل. We say mil, milaini, ثلاثة amyal or amyul. By the way, the meal, the plural of a meal in Arabic, either it's amyal or miyul or amyul. And all of the inscriptions that I found, they were amyul. This is what I have here. It's been inscribed. It's called amyul. And this shows that they are very ancient milestones. We have inscriptions, because the discovery of those milestones led us to ancient routes where we found inscriptions on the route. Look at this writing. This is at least 1,200 years ago. This is Milani here. Of course, I'm not an archaeologist, but I try to imitate or copy them. So I use brushes, I'm still nice and gentle to those milestones. Look at this, خمسة أميال. Those are the characteristics, features, the dimensions of those milestones. You can use the milestone as honestly knowing your direction as well as the timing based on the shadow. We know that shade and shadow. If you, try to perfect shade and shadow, you would be able to know the direction as well as the timing. We know when the sun rises, the shadow would go to the west and so on. So we can know by the direction, the time of, see like this one, let me go back. See the timing here? There is almost no shadow for this one. The Barid, which is, by the way, post office, they call it post office because there was a post they put after 12 miles. And that's how the letters used to be delivered, the Barid. The Barid would take you at 4 hours to reach your point. You deliver the messages or the letters or the things, and then you take from the other guy from the other side, and then you go back for 4 hours. So if you calculate 4 hours and 4 hours, this is 8 hours. This is the working hours that we're working today. Maybe that's why the idea of your working hours. And then if you want to rest for 1 hour, which is what we call lunch, 9 hours. So it's up to you. If you want to take your lunch hour, or if you don't want to take it, it's up to you. Look at the characteristics. Usually there are stones. You would see potteries around those milestones. I have to go fast. This milestone took me 2 years. 2 years to find it. That was the only piece that was exposed. You couldn't believe. You pass by any small rock, you didn't think it's a milestone. But based on the distances, on the calculations, you know for sure there is a milestone. So I had the gust and so I decided honestly to excavate. So this is it, and look at that milestone. And still, at least 2 weeks ago I was there, it was still buried, by the way. This one after 14 years, and that's why I called it 51 North, because I have number 51, but I found it north, the other one, so I called it 51 North. So this is after 14 years, I discovered this. This would show you some of the things that, this one honestly was removed, taken away from its place. And I sent a message to the Commission of Culture, and they intervened, and now it's been put again and been protected. That time it was windy. I'm talking about 20 years between those pictures. Trying to clean the pottery, sometimes brushing and looking. See, look at this inscription. I swear we did not scratch anything. It's been clean and protected. Look at this one. Hasn't been discovered before. And alhamdulillah, now it's been documented with the Commission of Culture. Those are some of the publications. I'll try to wrap up and just quickly. I gave presentations. This was 2008. I remember Dr. Ramzi, Dr. Miraj, they remember those days. In the kingdom, now. We have actually several routes, but the major ones, the Kufi, the Basri, Darb al-Anbiya, which is between Mecca and Medina. Then we have the Misri, the Shami, and so on. All those routes, also they have milestones on them. Again, endless possibilities that we can extract. This is a map showing all the 55 milestones that I discovered and in the book. Now we have more of them, alhamdulillah. If you look at it from economic point of view, I mean, it's endless. We can do a lot of utilization. Could be good for the economy of the people around those milestones for the country. Educational. I mean, if you teach the students about the imperial system, the miles, the farsakh, the barid, they wouldn't be able to honestly understand, absorb. But if you take them to the field, it's totally different. Health and lifestyle. I have the idea of honestly walking a marhala on one day. Can you walk it or not? How healthy you are. You can check yourself. How many calories. By the way, on average, if you're 120 pounds on average, and if you walk 1 mile, you will burn 65 calories. If you're 180, you'll burn 100 calories. So the more the weight the person in 1 mile, the more the calories. So I encourage everybody to come with us and walk around at least 24 miles, a marhala, which will take only 1 day, if you don't mind. And city planning also. This should be used, our unit design. This is for Dr. Adnan Adis. Because now cities are measured, and even in geography, your daily needs, you shouldn't walk more than 5 minutes for your daily needs, which means a quarter of a mile if you walk. So the maximum is 20 for your weekly needs, which is 1 mile, rather than just expanding without any controls. Those are related to planning standards. Okay, I'll go quickly. Dr. Adnan is saying I have to. Also entertainment. Even for entertainment, we should use those milestones. We can film. I want, honestly, people from all disciplines to come and enjoy and get out of them their qualities, whether it's filming, whether it's drawing, and so on. Art, culture, and heritage. The value of a place is in its history. So the more you know about the history of the place, the more the value, and you will value that place. Thank you.
استأذنكم في الذهاب إلى نشكر جميع الحضور والسادة المعالي سعادة، نشكركم على تشريفنا في مدخل المنتدين، وعندنا حوالي 15 دقيقة حتى ممكن الصلاة أو حفل الغداء في خارج الحجرية. Okay, I'm sorry. We have questions. Yes.
ثم تبعها الدكتور سعادة بعد هذه ايضا تبعنا مساله التتبع في الاميال في الطرقات المختلفه وخاصه طريق الكوفه مكه. وجدنا عدد كبير من الاميال التي لا تزال قائمه في مكانها التي وضعت منذ العصر العباسي فيها. ايضا وجدت البعثات ايضا اللي هي عندنا الأميال وعندنا الصور اللي هي تقدر المسافة من سواء كانت من عاصمة الدولة اللي هي بغداد آنذاك إلى الموقع الذي وصلت إليه ذلك الميل، أو المسافة التي ما بين الغرب المختلفة، لأن نحن نعرف أنه أول من قسم الطرقات في الدولة هي كان عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وسارت في العصر الأول وجدنا أيضا مجموعة من الأميال المكتوبة من عهد عبد الملك بن مروان رحمه الله تعالى، ومحفوظة لا تزال في جامعة الملك سعود التدابي. لكن الأميال هي على نوعين، نوع كما ذكرت سعادة المحافظ هي الأميال الحجرية الواحدة، هنالك النوع الثاني هي الأميال الكبيرة التي تبنى وترتفع بشكل كبير ارتفاع أكثر من 200 وتبنى بشكل دائري، وموجود لها صور أيضا منشورة سواء نشرت في مجلة الإطلال أو نشرت في الأبحاث الأخرى أيضا اللي هي الأميال الكبيرة دي. تحدث عنها أحمد الحسيني في كتاب دليل المسافر عن الأميال وعن المسافات وعن كذا. تحدثت أيضا كثير من الأبحاث عن الصور التي اللي هي تحدد المسافات، كان المسلمين عندهم دقة كبيرة جدا في تحديد المسافات. بالنسبة للميل عند المسلمين بالأميال التي وجدت قائمة إلى 1404 عهد بها، ما بين كل ميل وآخر وخاصة في طريق الكوفة 2 كيلومتر بالتحديد متساوية المسافات، لأن الأميال تختلف عن الميل الإنجليزي، الميل عند المسلمين يختلف عن الميل الإنجليزي، لكن لما قيست الأميال الواقفة الموجودة في طريق الكوفة سواء كانت في قارون أو في عنابية أو في الفرق المختلفة، وجدت المسافة المتساوية 2 كيلومتر تماما بين الأميال المختلفة الإسلامية. أحببت بس فقط أن يعني زيادة على ما ذكر الدكتور.
Let me first of all mention why we're standing here. This is the replica of الصفا, which is from Mecca. الصفا is the door that the Prophet used to go out to make a sign of the camera, and also it's been measured from Malaysia إلى Alpha. There are 2 miles the distances. Regarding the thank you for السؤال كان تعليق كان مجازا. The professor just mentioned that according to what's been discovered in the Qawfi route, and measured also there are one stones and he said something of heavy, which is small and global ones. He said they found it exactly 2,000 meters. Again, I will ask the same question and deal with the Qawfi route. I would say it differs from place to place, from time to time. There is no problem, and that's what honestly motivated me to go and do this whole research. Why is it being even different than scholars in the books? So I'm not saying that's wrong, it's not true. There are either. Myself, I've seen it, it's 2,000 meters in their class. So everything is correct. But I'm saying what we've discovered between Mecca and Medina. Even in America, they said there are Isar and Iwan. It means long, longer milestone distance and shorter milestone distance.
في سؤال ثاني؟
في مشكلة سعادة السيد عبدالله هذه الجهود التي نحاول هذه الجهود المباركة في التوثيق الميداني، لكن عندنا عملية سنوات طويلة 12 سنة. عندي سؤال فقط على أهلين سعادة الأستاذ الدكتور، كيف قام هؤلاء الخلفاء أو الأمراء في حمل الحجارة هذه الكبيرة التي لا تستطيعون إلا السيارات وآلات المعدات الآن الحديثة، فكيف تم أقدامها؟
نسب بضرورة الصلاة والصيام، هذا هذه الأمور لازم كل مسلم يطلع عليه بعبادته بصلاته بعلاقاته مع الناس. هذه الأمور لازم معرفتها بالضرورة. جزاه الله خيرا وطال الله عليه إن شاء الله.
By the way, the idea of the markets and the breeds from the time of Abbas, هي Islam. This is an Bukhari, عائشة رضي الله عنها said, حتى إذا كنا بتربان. Turban is a valley which is away from the Medina المنورة. حتى إذا كنا بالتربان لا ندر بينه وبين المدينة بريد وأميال. So a turban, which is a town, part of a valley, it's away from the Medina with a distance of a breed, which is 2 miles, and a few miles. If you calculate this from Medina to Nawar, exactly you will be in the town of Turban. So they know those milestones.
So, question ولا أي سؤال ثاني؟ طيب نشكر الجميع على الحضور. تفضل الآن الأستاذ المهندس حسين السلفي مدير الدفاع عن المؤسسة.
شكرا جزيلا لسعادة الدكتور عبدالله القاضي على هذه المحاضرة الشيقة. شكرا للحضور الأستاذ عبدالله الراشد وضيوفنا الكبار اليوم وضيوفنا أيضا من هيئة التراث وشؤون الحرمين. نشكر الجميع على تشريفكم وندعوكم الآن للظهر بيأذن. الصلاة في الدور الأول، ومن يحب أن يتفضل للغداء. الغداء أيضا مفتوح. Thanks everyone for joining us today for this prestigious lecture by Professor Al-Qadi. You're all welcome to join us for lunch, and those who would like to pray for Dhuhr, it's at the first floor. Thank you very much again.